Dear students, this is Professor Venkatachalapathi, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. I would like to discuss about casting defects. In general, any manufacturing process. As we have discussed the term manufacturing, it can be defined as it is the transformation of raw material into a finished products with the subsequent processes, and every process there will be some defects. Yes or no? So in this defects for a metal casting process or sand casting process also, due to usage of the pattern making and sand mold making and molten metal making, all those things, some major thing should be important. So because of some disturbances in the process of sand casting, some defects may be obtained. So now let us discuss about what are the important casting defects, how it can be obtained. So that is, what are the causes for these casting defects and how do you remedy for these casting defects. And every foundry industry, they can able to check in the morning 9 o'clock for all the different type of managers. So that is starting from the general manager, quality control manager, production manager, and melting. So melting furnace, there all the people will gather together and to can identify the casting defects. Okay, now let us see how the casting defects can be explained and what are the major important defects, what are the causes for the defects, and how do you remedy for the defects, so that this can be explained with the help of the cause and effect diagram. Okay, so now let us see the casting defects may be defined as those characteristics that create a deficiency or imperfection to quality specifications. This is what very important. So whenever the quality means meeting the specification, or it is end for customer usage. Okay, that quality specification imposed by either design or service requirements or pattern making or mold making or molten metal preparation. So wherever if we have improper specification, improper design and improper requirement will be there, automatically it leads to some defects may occur. Some defects can able to see with your naked eye, some defects which cannot able to see. Okay, while working in the service only they can identify this is the defects has been obtained in this application of that part. Okay, let us say in the casting defects, majorly because of these defects it will reduces the total output, because even a small defect also which lead to be the raw material wastage cost and manufacturing cost and molten metal cost, all this will be reduces the cost. Okay, and also it increases the cost of the production. Okay, whenever if you get a quality product, then only you can, the customer can able to accept. If you not give the quality product, definitely it leads to be loss of that industry. Okay, so that is why almost all by doing the casting process you should take each and every parameter, starting with the pattern design to the short blasting finishing of the casting. You should take care and you should give these certain instructions to follow the what are the requirement to have a quality or sound casting, and these should be given every fortnight or every month for repeated instructions for the various department, either foundry department or fettling department or short blasting department or testing department. So then only can able to reduce the cost of the product. Okay, and even in modern foundries, the rejection rate is high, up to 20% of the number of casting products. For example, 100 products to be made from the casting process. So obviously, 20% of casting. So that reduction can be occurred. Even more than 20, also some foundry industries, even 40 industries also 40% also rejection rate has been done because of improper training and improper usage of the what you call the sand and sand mixing and ramming. Everything should be taken into the consider. That is why this is a casting process majorly that rejection rate have to be decreased. We should be able to maintain the simple parameters that we'll discuss in detail in this casting defects topic. Okay, let us see the main classification of casting defects. So for in the casting, as you know that the term casting can be defined as wherever the pattern is the object of the final component. It is the replica of the original casting. Whenever you can prepare the mold cavity with the sand molding process, and either it is a hand molding or machine molding. Once you have to prepare the mold cavity, you can pour the molten metal with the given pouring time, and by giving a proper solidification time, then the final product can come out of with the short blasting technique. Okay, and that the product either you can achieve the sound casting product or any defects are there. How you can identify these defects? So majorly the casting defects in foundry industry, what they will do in every morning, all the departmental in charges with the general manager, they will come to the directly in the foundry shop. There you can identify what are the components made through casting from yesterday. So yesterday morning, 3 shift, first shift, second shift, third shift, all the 3 shift components together in the shop floor. And morning sharply at 10 o'clock, all the managers, either plant in charge and quality control manager and foundry, the raw material in charge and molten metal in charge, and all these people will come together. They can observe the produced components. Is there a product is exactly what the customer requirement? Is there any defects are there? Like that they can identify. Okay, so that some defects they may not able to identify also. With this expertise only they can able to identify which type of defect it is, why it has been occur, in which shift it has been occur, and what is the causes for that defect, and how do you do remedy for the next slot, next shift. So these things we can discuss in detail. In general, the casting defects measure generally classified into 4 major types. One is the surface defects. Wherever in the surface, either it is a top surface or bottom surface or all this surface, what are the defects may be obtained by with your naked eye you can able to identify. And second thing is internal defects. So in the inside the product, there is any halo particles and some grain formation, and that is also another important that can be obtained by some laser and some visual and photographic structure they can able to identify. And incorrect chemical composition. So there is a one most important thing is chemical composition. When you wanted to improve the mechanical properties, electrical properties and magnetic properties, you need to have some good amount of percentage. If you maintain the effective percentage of chemicals like sulfur and copper, phosphorus, whatever the thing to improve the certain properties, exact amount should be maintained in the for molten metal preparation. And even some unsatisfactory mechanical properties, whatever the properties when you obtain the correct tensile strength is obtained, or any impact strength, so like that they will test. If you are not up to the mark, it needs to be again starting with the pattern making preparation to the ending of the quality control checkup. Okay, these are the major classification of this casting defects. Now let us see one by one how we can able to identify the casting defect, what are the remedy, and how we can able to imply. So let us see the surface defects. This is what is meant by surface defects. So surface defects may be visible on the surface. For example, you can see there is a component like dumbbell shape. So in this above surface, any defects, some cracks and some extra parts like that, it can be visible easily on the surface, which will include incorrect shape and size, some flashes. So coming out of this by joining two pattern, some extra amount. This is called some flashes and poor surface finish. So basically, the surface defects can be visible in the workpiece or component by seeing with your observation itself. It is a incorrect shape and size. Even it parting line should be also maintained properly, and some flashes coming out of uneven movement of the two-piece pattern or three-piece pattern and gated pattern, etc. If are not correctly aligned while pouring the molten metal, suddenly it leads to be some extra flashes, and even the surface finish also. The making of that pattern, if it is a good, it is a metal piece pattern, we will have a good surface finish. Some wooden pattern, we should not expect the quality surface finish. That is why, depending upon our application and at the same time depending upon our usage, which type of how many number of components to be produced, based on that only we are supposed to identify which type of pattern to be used, either it is a metal piece pattern or a wooden pattern or ceramic pattern or plastic pattern, depending upon our application only we can identify. And coming to the internal defects, so what are the main internal defects? And the term internal defects can be defined as these are present in the interior of the cast. That is, suppose even our human being, why are they taking the some X-rays? So we don't know what happens inside our body. Similarly, a casted product also, what happened inside? So there is any granules formed and any oxidization inside cannot be evaluated. These two called the NDT techniques. This is a very interesting non-destructive testing techniques. So there are two type of techniques around: destructive test, non-destructive. Destructive means when you break it, when you apply some pressure, you can break it. Inside the proper thing is maintained or not. So that is a destructive. Non-destructive technique means without touching the component, with the help of the some rays, laser and some what you call some light source and photographs. Different type of techniques is there to identify the internal defects. Also some scanning type, etc. And that is the one important type of defect where you can use in the casting process. And another thing is incorrect chemical composition. These are the very important where the formation of undesirable microstructure. So even whatever the product made from this casting process, initially they can check if it is a cast iron, means again different type of cast iron will be there: grey cast iron, SG iron, spheroid grey cast iron, malleable cast iron, and white cast iron. So especially for this coming to the grey cast iron, look at the structure, you can see some flakes will be formed. So if the flakes are not, then obviously it says that there is a mixing of the grey cast iron. And suppose if it is a SG iron, spheroid graphite. So in this microstructure, some nodules will form. Nodules will form in the structure. So this is called nodule, like a some circle, small diameter of circle will be formed. This is called SG iron, spheroidite graphite. This is called grey cast iron. Grey cast iron, only flakes like forms will be occur. So that is why the chemical composition plays a vital role. So to preparation or formation of the good desirable microstructure. So even by seeing the microstructure itself, this is a white cast iron, this is a grey cast iron, this is a SG iron, like that. So especially all engine components and some of the manholes and all made up of this cast iron parts only. Okay, and finally the unsatisfactory mechanical properties. Whenever all we can able to made with the identification, the property is very very important, depending upon mechanical, electrical, magnetic properties should be achieved properly. So why the customer, if you are not achieve the proper mechanical properties, so sometimes it is rejection also will be. We don't want these type of products. We need a good strengthened products, we need a good impact strength components, like that. So that is why these unsatisfactory mechanical property, in the sense these are due to low quality and poor percentage of usage. So for example, a component if it is suddenly after 1 or 2 months, there is a cracks and break may be occur, it cannot be used multiple times. So that is why the effective usage of the properties where you can able to obtain to have the good mechanical properties, and there you check the ramming also, preparation of the sand, and molten metal preparation also, effective usage of the composition, and the correctly how you can the time, pouring time, gating design also plays an important role in order to maintain the good properties. Okay, that screw runner in gate design also very important to obtain the good mechanical properties. Now let us discuss one by one what are the different type of defect and what is the causes and how you will remedy. So this also can be explained with this help of cause and effect diagram. Let us see, these are the some major casting defects which will occur while performing the sand casting process, and some factors responsible for them and what are the remedies. So let us see what is meant by a swell. So swell is a one type of casting defect, and fin is a another type of casting defect. Gas holes, so some inside gas holes to be formed because of some causes, and shrinkage cavity. So in general all metals will shrink except bismuth already, that is why we are providing some shrinkage allowance while performing the good pattern. Okay, so if you are not providing the shrinkage allowance, it will elongate, it will contract, so it will be enlarged. So depending upon the allowances not provided properly, so the shrinkage also sometimes it is a problem over component. If it is a 100 size of component, if you are not providing shrinkage, it will come to 98 or it may increase 1 or 2. So actually we require exactly 100 size of component. Okay, so obviously you need to maintain, even the customer also they can expect I need 100 plus or minus 1. So that means 99 and 101. So remaining that it is least to be defects, and it is not a sound casting. The customer can't take the 98 102. Only they can range is 99 to 101 only they can accept the full. So that is why we should take care of preparation of the pattern also, one of the most important criteria. And hot TS, due to heating the molten metal in the hot condition, the pouring time also very important. If you are not pouring the molten metal the exactly what the calculated time, if the shortage of the pouring time means unfilled casting may produce. If it is the more time means overflow will be occurs. That is why expert supervisors is allotted for the pouring the molten metal. So otherwise that leads to be short molding, and excess molding also can be obtained. And last but not least, misrun and cold shut. These are the another interesting misrun. Some extra surface obtained in this component, and cold shut if it is overcooling of the molten metal, some cold shut defect also can be obtained. Now let us discuss one by one how it can able to occur and what are the remedies. So let us see swell. So this is a swell means it is an enlargement of the mold cavity by metal pressures which results localized overall enlargement of the casting. So for example, a casted product will be there, it can be enlargement of the mold cavity. If using the some size of for example, if you swell means like size, after pouring the molten metal this may be enlarged or this may be contact. That is what if you are not provide the shrinkage allowance, it may be enlarged or it may be contract of the mold cavity. So this leads to be some over enlargement of casting. So especially some components in engines, some carburetors and some this spark plugs, exactly you should be able to maintain the exact size. Even a fraction of also will be vary, it cannot fit for the engine. So that is why you need to maintain exact allowances for getting the good sound casting product. So this is the swell means why it has occurred. So already I told that all the casting defects can be explained with the help of the cause and effect diagram or Ishikawa diagram or fishbone diagram. In this case, let us see the swell. Swell is the casting defect. So what are the important causes for the swell? So obviously there are 4. So insufficient ramming of the sand. So this is insufficient of ram, which will causes the swell. So another important thing, rapid pouring of the molten metal. So rapid pouring. So that is why the pouring time also very, very important. If you pour exactly what are the time allotted, if it is rapid pouring or slow pouring also, which leads to be the swell defect may be obtained. Also due to insufficient weight of the mold. So insufficient weight of mold also lead to be some this swell type of defect may be obtained. So and sometimes what you call this temperature, you should maintain usual temperature, appropriate, okay, the temperature to be maintained properly. So these are the 4 causes which will get the swell type of defect. How do you rectify this defect? So here the first and fourth thing is avoid rapid. So these are the remedy. So these are the causes, 4 causes to get this swell defect. So in order to avoid this defect, automatically there will be remedy. So in bottom, insufficient means avoid rapid pouring or sufficient ram on the sand. Okay, we should maintain the sufficient ramming. Okay, so even manual molding process. So morning time, the human being will be very fresh and active. He can do the proper ramming. After 2 hours or lunch time, that energy will go out so that at the time ramming should be improper. So that is why if you go for the machine molding, the uniform ramming can be maintained. Such type of application of the always you should go for the machine molding technique. And even proper weighting of the molds also after creating the molds, you should put the weight exactly how much it is, a 50 grams or 100 grams or 1 kg of the mold should be there. You should be able to maintain the exact amount of mold. Otherwise, improper weighting means it leads to be short and some infilling of the component will be obtained. This is what about the swell. Swelling means it is the enlargement of the mold cavity by the metal pressures, which results on the overall enlargement of the casting occur. That is called a swell. Okay, even human beings, some swelling will be occur like that. Some even teeth pain and any thing may happen. It may be swell. Swell will be occur. Even one person may be beaten also, it will next time immediately swelling will be occur. Why? Because so this is what some enlargement due to improper of the ramming and improper of the pouring of the molten metal in the swelling will be occur. So next interesting thing is fin. So here fin, or you can also call the flash. In the 3-dimensional diagram you can clearly understand this extra projection. This is called the flash. So sometimes you can also call the fin. So the term fin can be defined as it is a thin projection of the metal, not a part of the cast. It is not a part of the cast. Some extra projection can obtain. Sometimes it can be removed with some extra finishing process, but sometimes the customer can't accept this type of defect also. Okay, usually this will occur the parting of the mold or core sections whenever making the hollow portions and all, this thing may occur. Okay, so here also you can see the cause and effect diagram for the fin is, this is the fin defect or flash defect. It will occur due to incorrect assembly of the cores. Incorrect assembly of the cores, and other thing is improper clamping. Improper clamping and improper sealing also. Improper sealing. These are the 3 major important causes. So to avoid these things, correct assembly of course mold should be maintained. and proper clamping should be done. If the proper clamping is loose, means the overflow will be occur. That's why the flash and fins may be occur. And also it will reduce the proper clamping of the core molds, and sealing also to be done effectively. So this is what about the fin defect. And next thing, gas holes. So very interesting. Look at in the three-dimensional figure, the components are white. This is called gas holes. So like that, more number of gas holes will be there due to porosity. Sometimes impact and some more pressure applied, it leads with some cracks and breaks may be occur. So the term gas holes can be defined as it is a clean, smooth-walled, rounded holes for varying the size from the pin heads to full section of the thickness, even often exposed during the machining process. Okay, and here also let us see, this can be explained with the cause and effect diagram. Gas holes is the defect. This will occur based on low pouring temperature. Low pouring temperature. And next one is gases blowing from the mold. Gases blowing from the mold. And another thing is excessive turbulence. So excessive turbulence leads to be gas holes. Excess turbulence. So overflow, okay, and moisture condensed on the densers and chills. So another thing, chills are there to support the cores. Chills are the directional solidification occur. Choplets are there to support the core. So while using these type of chills and choplets, also you should maintain the effective what you call the denser in that sand also. Okay, and the major remedy means almost all you should maintain the pouring temperature exactly whatever the required for that metal you should maintain. And also the gas is blowing from the mold means you should not avoid any blows from the mold. And also turbulence should be appropriately maintained, should not more turbulence, and you should maintain the uniform and proper turbulence. And moisture condensed in the densers, and that is what direct solidification will be occur. The cooling time also will be given. So obviously you can able to get. That is what here see, the pouring temperature will be checked with the optical pyrometer. So it is in a red hotted condition. So we have to keep the pyrometer so that the temperature can be shown to 1400 degrees centigrade. Every 5 to 10 minutes you can check the pouring temperature. If it is come down, immediately you should be able to maintain the temperature with the small furnaces also. So this is what about the gas holes in the casting defect. And also this increases the permeability of the sand, and some grinding will be used to remove some gas holes under. And the gating system also very important to reduce the turbulence. We should maintain the proper gating system and use some Silvex filter to be maintain this defect to be eliminated. And shrinkage, this is what about shrinkage. So in general, all metals will be shrink except bismuth. So whenever it is a solid and a solid to liquid and a solid liquid to liquid. So the shrinkage is the term where in order to depression or void in the casting caused mainly due to uncontrolled solidification. If you are not maintaining the proper cooling time, automatically it leads to be uncontrolled surface may be obtained. So you can see the shrinkage cavity, how it will be. Some small black spark will be occur. This is the shrinkage cavity to application. So this will be occur. Main causes is pouring temperature very high. So obviously you should maintain the good pouring temperature. Failure to supply the liquid feed metal. Okay, the metal should be in a liquid form. If it is given cooling time, it will become semi-solid. Then it is difficult to maintain. And also premature solidification also one of the major causes to occur this shrinkage. So mainly apply all the principles of the casting which will reduce the pouring temperature, and we should provide adequate risers, feeders to supply molten metal to compensate the shrinkage. So that is why these parameters are very important to maintain the good product to eliminate the shrinkage cavity defect. So thank you for this session. I hope the student can understand clearly all the casting defects and why it will occur, what are the remedies, and what are the causes. I have explained clearly, and even the examination point of view also we can explain with this in a cause and effect diagram also. Okay, thank you for the session.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.